Hi modern fashion designers, you're welcome back to class. This is Modern Woman Apparel. I want to specially thank all my subscribers, and if this is your first time seeing us, you're highly welcome. Please join us by clicking on the subscribe button, turn on your notification bells to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you. So guys, in today's class we are going to be doing this very beautiful cowl bubu kaftan, and for this I'll be making use of this fabric here. I'll also be needing a chantilly lace and also a bias tape for the front. So without wasting much of your time, let's get right into the tutorial of the day. You can see here my fabric is into 4 for the back, so the front is on fold while the back is also on fold, because we are cutting the back and the front part together. The length I have here is the length of my gown plus my hemming and joining allowance. For the width here, what I have here is the shoulder divided by 2 plus my sleeve length and the folding allowance. So the folding allowance I'll be using for the sleeve. So what I'm going to do now is to rule my starting line and also get the necessary length that I'll be working with. So guys, I've gone ahead to rule my starting line here. As you can see, this is my starting line, and what I have here is the new line. So this is the new line. The actual knee length I'm working with is 41. I went up by 3 inches. So what I have here is 38 inches. And here is 59 for the length of the gown. And what I have here is the hemming allowance. So you can see for this, you do not need your waist length and you also do not need your hip length. So what you have on your knee length, go up by 3 inches. Now what I'm going to do is to draw my neckline. For this, I'll be using a neckline of 4 inches. You can see the neckline we have here, just like a canoe neck, but you can go ahead and do any neckline of your choice. For this, I'm using 4 inches as the neck depth for the front, and I'm using 5.5 as the neck width for the front. And for the back, remember we are cutting the front and back part together. For the back, I'm using 2 inches for the neck depth and the same 5.5 for the neck width. So I'll connect. Please note that the neck width and the neck depth depends on the size of the client you're working with. So I'm making this for a plus size client. So if you're working with a smaller size, you just have to reduce the inches, but make sure it is wide enough for your client's head to pass through. So after this neckline here, what I'm going to do now is to get the shoulder width divided by 2. So I'm working with shoulder width of 15. I'll divide it by 2 and I'll have 7.5. So this is my 7.5. Next thing I'm going to get now is the length of the sleeve. So I'm working with 13 inches for the length of the sleeve here. So this is 13 inches. Next thing I'm going to do is on this 13 inches mark here, I'll come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. And I'll connect from this 1 inch back to the neckline. After this, what I'm going to do is to determine the wideness of my sleeve. So on this part here, on this mark of 13 inches, what I'm going to do is to mark 10 inches. So note that this 10 inch is not constant. It depends on how wide you want your sleeve opening to be. So here I mark the 10 inches, and on this line of 10 inches, what I have here to here, I'll still impute it here. So I'm having from here to here, I'm having 7.5 plus 13, and that is 20.5. So I'm going to put the same 20.5 here. So this is it. Next thing I'm going to do now is to come to this my knee line here. Remember, I went up from my actual knee measurement by 3 inches to get this line. So what I'm going to do now is to impute the hip circumference divided by 4. So the hip circumference I'm working with is 52. When I divide it by 4, I have 13 inches. So I impute 13 inches here plus extra 3 inches. So these 3 inches, I'm using 2 inches for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance. So you can decide to make yours lesser or more. It depends on how big you want your own dress to be. So what I'm also going to do after that is to come to the hem of this, to the length of the gown, and also impute the same thing I have on this knee line here. So I'm having 13 inches here plus 3 inches And with a straight line, I'll connect from this length here to the knee line. So after this, what I'm going to do now is to connect to the curve rule, or with my free hand, from this knee line here to this sleeve line. Please do not make your line too curvy, else it's going to be too big. If you also want it too big, you can still make it too curvy like this, but this is just okay for me. So guys, you can see what we have here. Next thing I'm going to do is to impute 2 inches. So from here I'm going out by 2 inches. This will be to fold my sleeve, for my sleeve folding. So I'm just going to use what I have here for it. So this is almost 2 inches, so I'm going to use it for it. And after that, I'll just make a curve here, because this line here is not supposed to be sharp. So I'll make a curve there to connect. So before I cut this out, what I'm going to do now is to add my joining allowance on the shoulder. So I'm adding ½ inch here. I'm adding 0.25 here and also 0.25 here, because I'll be turning this with 0.25. You can go ahead and add ½ inch here if that is what you normally make use of. So guys, you can see what I have here. This is ½ inch on the shoulder line for joining, and I added 0.25 to the back neckline and 0.25 to the front neckline. So what we are going to do now is to cut this out. But firstly, we have to cut out the back neckline first and remove the back part before cutting out the front neckline. So before I cut it out, let me show you what we have. You can see I'm sorry, my chalk is almost same color with the fabric. But let's do a summary of what we have done here before I cut this out. So first of all, you put your fabric into 4 fold, because you are cutting the front and the back together. After folding, next thing you're going to do is to get your neckline. So remember, the neckline depends on the size of the client you're working with. For me, I did 5.5 by 4 for the neck width and neck depth of the front, and I also did 5.5 by 2 for the neck width and neck depth of the back. So on this line here, what I did is the shoulder width divided by 2. That is the 7.5 I have here, plus my sleeve length. So the sleeve length I'm working with is 13 inches. And from the mark of the 13 inches, I came down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope, and I connected it back to the neck line. Next thing I did was to determine the wideness of the sleeve opening. So the sleeve opening here, I have 10 inches. You can do more or less. And after that, I also impute the same thing I have on this shoulder line here on the sleeve line. So having done that, what I also did is to come to my knee line. So the knee line I'm having here is the actual knee length here minus 3 inches. So I went up. My knee length is supposed to be here, but I went up by 3 inches to get this line. And here I did my hip circumference divided by 4 plus extra 3 inches. 2 inches for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance. And on the hem of this, I also did the same measurement I have here, connected here with a straight line, and use a curve line to connect from this knee here to the sleeve. After that, I also got 2 inches. I went out by 2 inches from this line here to get my folding allowance, my sleeve folding allowance. And instead of leaving here to be straight, I curved it out here to avoid having a sharp point, a sharp edge here. And next thing I did was to impute ½ inch here for my shoulder joining, and also did 0.25 here and 0.25 here for the turning of the neckline. I hope you understand. So next thing I'm going to do now is to cut this out. After cutting, this is what we have. Remember, we have to cut the back neckline first. So this is what we have here. Next thing we are going to do now is to separate the back from the front so that we can cut the front neckline. So we are done cutting. Next thing we are going to do now is for us to start stitching. So guys, the first part we are going to work on is the front part. So this is the front part of my fabric, and I'll be making use of this chantilly lace here and also these bias I have here. So the first thing you're going to do is to open your front up. So this is the right side of this front part here. So what you're going to do next is to draw the shape, the place you want your net or your lace to be. So as you can see, I've already drawn where I want my lace to be. Next thing I'm going to do is to place it there, pin it down and cut out the amount of lace I want on this front part. After I'm done doing that, what I'm going to do is to top stitch on it. Okay guys, you can see I've gone ahead to top stitch my lace fabric. What I'm going to do now is to also top stitch this bias here. So I'm going to start firstly from the shorter one here. By the time I'm done top stitching up to this point here, I'll cut it, then start again from here and get to the hem of this dress. So I'll show you when I'm done doing that. So guys, I'm done top stitching. As you can see what I have here. So this went all the way down to the hem of this gown. Note, I didn't turn the neckline of this with this net because the net is open. So if I should turn the neckline of it with the net, the raw edge will be appearing on the front of this gown, and I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is to either use bias to tidy the neckline or to use facing. So if you are going to use facing, at this point, this is where you need your facing. So at this point, you use your facing to turn the neckline of this and also turn the neckline of the back part before joining the shoulders together. But because I'm using bias for this, what I'm going to do is to join the shoulders first before using my bias to turn the back and the front neckline together. So at this point, what I'm going to do now is to join the back and the front, right side facing each other like this, and join the shoulder. After joining the shoulders, I'll fold the sleeve. Before joining the sides. So guys, as you can see, I've gone ahead to join the shoulders. So after joining the shoulder, the next thing you're going to do is to turn the neckline with bias. Note that if you're using a facing for this, you turn the neckline with your facing first before joining the shoulder. After that, what you're going to do is to fold the sleeve. So after that, you fold your sleeve and join the sides. So you join the sides. Remember, this has a slit, so you join to where you want your slit to start and you hem the down part of this. So as you can see, the sewing part of it is just not too much. All you just need is to know how to cut this. So guys, we are done with this class. What I'm going to do now is to put this on my mannequin. Let's see what we have. Do not forget to weave all your raw edges because I'm taking this right away to my weaving machine to close up all the raw edges. So guys, this is the final look of our dress. I'm sorry I couldn't capture my client when she came to fit the dress, but for me, I think if I'm making this for myself, I'll go with a very soft or light fabric. That way the cowl will be able to fall or drip well. But whichever fabric you choose to go with, the cutting and sewing remains the same. Thanks so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you are yet to do so. I'll see you in my next class. I'm Modern Woman. Bye for now.